everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Dayspring Discussions. I'm your host, Sean McGahee, and this is a show where we talk about movies, TV, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books. If you geek out about it, we're going to talk about it. I am joined, as always, by the ever-enchanting Miss Lisa Locke McGahee. Lisa, say hi to all the lovely people out there listening.
Hello.
Alright guys, so if you're new to the show, this is how it goes. I'm going to run down some stories in the world of geekdom. Usually start off with some Marvel and DC news, move on to some Star Wars and Harry Potter if there is any, and then we go on to miscellaneous stuff. Lisa and I then discuss the topics, and then of course you guys fire back on social media. Hit us up on the Facebook group, on Twitter, or you can find me personally on Twitter and Instagram under Slim, S-L-Y-M, Dayspring12. So without further ado, I guess, Lisa, you ready to rock this?
Let's go.
All right, guys. So for those of you who don't know, as I like to mention, this podcast is an X-Men reference. So whenever there is any X-Men news, I like to start off with that. So started right in the Marvel news with some X-Men news. Fox has officially announced the release date for several upcoming X-Men related films. The first one being the Deadpool sequel. It's going to be coming out on, looks like, November, no, wait, I had it here.
Good story.
Sorry. Okay, so it's according to Box Office Mojo, the studio has set aside April 13th for director Josh Boone's New Mutants and June 1st for the Deadpool sequel. Okay, I just had to read it real quick. They had a couple of dates going on there. So Deadpool sequel coming out June 1st. New Mutants coming out April 13th, and the third one they're announced for 2018, which is X-Men Dark Phoenix, coming out November 2nd, 2018. So, just to break it down a little bit for you guys, the Deadpool sequel, which they recently announced while we were gone on break, Josh Brolin has been cast as the role of Cable. A lot of speculation and rumors going on for months, so they finally locked that down. That's going to come out in June. Then we got Josh Boone, the guy who directed The Fault in Our Stars and Stuck in Love. This movie's been rumored for quite a bit. They announced that for April, coming out 2008.
What movie?
Huh?
What movie?
The New Mutants.
The New Mutants.
New Mutants, okay. And then, of course, kind of the bigger news, I guess you would say, is that for several months now, there's been rumors about the sequel to X-Men Apocalypse coming, and it was subtitled X-Men Supernova when it was said to be about the Dark Phoenix saga. Well, now they officially come out and say that the official name is X-Men Dark Phoenix. Now this is going to, of course, circulate around the pivotal X-Men saga, the Dark Phoenix saga, which came out in 1980 by Chris Claremont and John Byrne. Now, in this storyline, Jean Grey found herself driven mad by the enormous power of the cosmic entity known as the Phoenix Force, which leads her to destroy an entire planet before she ultimately sacrifices herself to save the universe. Now, the elements of the story were adapted in the subplot of the 2006 film X-Men The Last Stand, written by franchise producer Simon Kinberg. Now, it's said that Kinberg might write this one as well as possibly direct X-Men Dark Phoenix. When talking, he said, quote, "I think maybe a few mistakes we made in The Last Stand, and every movie has mistakes, but the main mistake we made in that movie was taking the Dark Phoenix story, which is such a vast and profound saga, and making it the subplot of the movie as opposed to the main plot of the movie. I think if we were to make a Dark Phoenix movie in the future, it would be a Dark Phoenix movie about her struggle, and really should be the A-plot and the primary of the movie." Now, Sophie Turner is set to return as Jean Grey, although no one else is been announced to return, whether it be the new cast or even the old cast, such as Michael Fassbender, James McAvoy, and Jennifer Lawrence. All their contracts are actually up as far as Fox and the X-Men saga, so we don't know if they're coming back yet. So, couple of X-Men news. We got 3 X-Men movies planned for 2018, so let's break it down one by one, starting off. We'll start with the one that first come out first. April 13th, Josh Boone's The New Mutants, directed by a guy who I wasn't a big fan of Fault in Our Stars, but I did actually like Stuck in Love, kind of a lesser-known movie, but it's got Greg Kinnear, Logan Lerman, and Jennifer Connelly, and I kind of enjoyed it as a smaller film. So with that, Josh Boone, yeah, whatever. One thing I'm curious, though, is when it's going to be set, because you have all the other movies, such as Days of Future Past, Apocalypse, they're all set in the past. Now, in the comics, the New Mutants, the first class of New Mutants, was just like I said, the next generation, if you will, after Cyclops and Jean Grey and Storm. They're the younger kids that kind of took up the X-Men mantle after the original X-Men were all grown up. So I'm curious if this New Mutants is actually going to take place possibly in the present, which is where Deadpool is set. It would kind of make sense to where they can still have Dark Phoenix and whatever went in the past, but then set New Mutants in the present along with Deadpool, the way I see it. But also, one thing I thought about yesterday too, one person they could throw into it, if it is set in the present, Negasonic Teenage Warhead. They could throw her in there as well, along with the New Mutants, which, again, in the original cast, you had Cannonball, Magic, Wolfsbane, other characters such as that. But she would definitely fit into that crowd. I think would be a fine addition to it. Another thing that people probably don't know or might not know is that the New Mutants, a lot of them, such as Cannonball, went on to actually form X-Force, which is the group that Cable started. And of course, like I said, Josh Brolin has now been announced as Cable for the Deadpool film coming out on June 1st. So, to start off with this, Lisa, I know I just ran through a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I was wondering if you even wanted me to be here today.
I possibly. So, starting off, I know you're not familiar with New Mutants, but what do you think of my idea or speculation, of course? I don't know how you love to speculate about, the New Mutants taking place in the present and hooking up with Deadpool.
I think that sounds like a good idea. It makes sense.
Okay.
It makes sense based on what you were saying, like with the timelines, especially with the apocalypse taking place in the 80s. The time fits.
Exactly.
I would like to see Negasonic, whatever her name is.
I just thought of it yesterday. I'm like, that makes sense, too, because she became such a popular character.
Yeah, I really liked her in the Deadpool. Just like her, indifference, the way she played off of Deadpool. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I'd love to see her again.
In more expansive role.
Yeah, I think it'd be great. I think that sounds good. I don't have any idea what they're gonna do, but
of course, no one knows, and that's what kind of is kind of weird because they've announced 3 X-Men films for 2018. Mm-hmm. That's next year, and we have not get any casting on any of it really. Deadpool, of course, I think Deadpool is the farthest along out of all of them because of its popularity and, it's hunger for a Deadpool sequel.
It's a sequel.
But yeah, New Mutants, we've gotten rumors for a long time. Nothing's set concrete. And then again, with Dark Phoenix as well, that's, not that far off, and we're not getting a lot of stuff news on that. But I think probably, now that they've actually announced they're coming out, we'll probably get more, but we'll wait and see on that. But Deadpool, we were gone when the big reveal came out. Josh Brolin is playing the mutant known as Cable. Again, you're not familiar with the character, but I think, from your point of view, I think you're glad that just the rumors are just done.
I'm just glad that we finally know who it's going to be so we can stop with all this speculating.
Mm-hmm. Your favorite.
Yes, my favorite. In terms of who they cast, I don't really care. Yeah. I'm fine with it. I don't really know enough about Cable to have a strong opinion about who they cast in it. I still, like everybody else, think it's weird that they would cast somebody who has such a presence already in the Marvel universe.
But at the same time, he's playing Thanos, which is still a CG character.
But it still looks like him.
No, no. It's an alien. It doesn't look like Josh Brolin. It's an alien.
Does. Totally does.
Anyway, but yeah, I think it's fine. Like I said, it's a CGI character. It's Thanos.
I just feel like there's enough other people out there. Why would they pick from the pool of people that they're already using?
And that's what I thought weird was the fact that Josh Brolin, all the names that were circulating and rehearsed that were auditioning for the role, and Josh Brolin wasn't even, one of those names. Which, now they've announced, I'm fine with it. I can picture Josh Brolin playing this character and doing a fine job. So I'm completely fine with who they picked. It just seems like, Brolin's become quite the poster child for Marvel movies.
That's the thing. It just seems weird to me because there's so many good names that were being thrown around. And why I just don't understand why they would pick somebody who they're already using. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But, I don't really care who they cast. I think some of the other names that were thrown around I would have preferred. Yeah. But I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, so the more interesting story for me is that they did announce it is officially going to be about Dark Phoenix, about continuing that storyline that they, hinted at the end of Apocalypse. I've said on here, before, I'm glad they're doing this and hopefully they're doing it right, but I still feel like going in on the quote second film of these new characters is not the way to go. You got to build up the characters, relationships first. Get invested more in these new characters, which people who have criticized X-Men Apocalypse, everyone agrees, no matter what you thought about Apocalypse, agree that these new characters, the young Cyclops, Nightcrawler, Jean Grey, Storm, they are good to go, and people want to see more of them. It's just, taking the X-Men storyline in the second film, it's like blowing your load early. I think you gotta build it up more. It's gonna be more impactful if you wait at least one more film, the third film, so to speak, and to do it at that point. But the bigger question for me is how they're going to do it. They say they're going all in, much like they totally effed up The Last Stand when trying to do it, which I totally agree with because that movie's a piece of garbage. But they say they're going all in now. Instead of a subplot, it's going to the main plot. What are they doing? Is it one of those things where the Phoenix is still going to be inside of Jean Grey, or are they going to go original route to where it's more of a cosmic entity? And again, I've said before, I'd love them to go cosmic with this because the X-Men have quite the mythology in space. I mean, you open it up to the Shi'ar and the Starjammers, and like I've said, the Starjammers are Fox's answer to Guardians of the Galaxy if they only had the balls to actually do it. But in any event, we'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully we get a lot more casting, a lot more stuff on this because, again, that's 3 X-Men movies for Fox in, a 1 year, all to come out within, that's not that far. 2018 is next year, and they're planning 3 films that so far, as we have known, nothing has been shot. No film, not a single frame has been shot in any of these films. You add all the technical stuff they're going to have to do. It's a pretty big undertaking, in my opinion. Lisa, do you think any of these are going to be pushed back at all?
Is that what we're talking about? Because you said like 4 different stories, and you haven't asked my opinion on any of them.
Well, you just go ahead and go off a ramble. I already did my ramble.
Well, I don't even remember what we were talking about.
Okay, First off,
I don't know if
let's back up. Let's back up. Okay, Dark Phoenix. Do you want to see them go all in, or do you think it's even a good idea they do it in the second film?
I think from their perspective, the X-Men films, the last few, have not been very well received. They're not loved. People have a lot of criticism. I think maybe they're just trying to make one that people are going to love.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like, why make a few more that are meh and have people lose interest completely? Might as well do something that people really love and make it good. I mean, people didn't love Apocalypse. People didn't love First Class. People haven't loved any of these. The X-Men movies just aren't generally you know what I mean?
They're not as popular as the Marvel Studios.
Right,
movies.
so maybe they're just saying, instead of trying to play the long game, they just want to make one that's really good that people love. Like, maybe I'm just offering an alternate idea.
I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. But to me, that's the wrong way to go because Marvel Studios, again, they played the long game and it pays off. They're building up their characters, making you care about them. And again, that instant gratification is something I think a lot of studios do wrong. They're like, okay, what's the most popular storyline? What's the most popular character? Great, let's do that right off the bat.
Right, but the difference is they've been trying to do this for a long time. They've been trying to play the long game, and it hasn't been working. It hasn't been working like Marvel.
Again, like I said, they're not fully committed. They said they're going all into the Dark Phoenix saga. That's great. If you're going all in, go all in. Like I said, go cosmic with it, okay?
Well, you don't know they're not gonna.
I don't know they're not going to, but I'm saying everything I've seen from Fox so far with their X-Men movies has said they're so haphazard. The only really two movies that I feel like they've gone all in on are Deadpool and Days of Future Past. Days of Future Past was about trusting Bryan Singer, who was the most accomplished X-Men director at that time, and then Deadpool was such a low budget, and the fact that Ryan Reynolds had such a passion for it is really what made that film a success. Without, so I feel like they need to trust the source material, which is something Fox has never been able to do. But I think if they look back again at Deadpool, at even Logan, perhaps, if they stay true to what the characters are, which is something they're not really known for in some of their X-Men movies, I think they'll be successful. But 3 movies, 2018, I think that's quite the undertaking. I feel like something's going to get pushed back.
Well,
or
it's not like it's the same people making all 3. I mean, sure, it's the same studio, but...
I'm just saying, even Marvel Studios only comes out with 2 movies a year.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I don't think the fact that it's 3... I mean, Deadpool is basically a whole separate thing than the other 2. Mm-hmm. So, take that one out of the equation, and it's just 2 films. So, I mean, it's not like it's the same people working on these films. So, the fact that there's more than one getting them finished in the same year, I think that's irrelevant, because if they... I don't think that has anything to do with it.
If they were to say 3 films in 2019, I'd be okay. But this is 2008. This is 1 year away. And again, we have...
Well, the first one's supposed to come out when?
April. So a year from the day, New Mutants is supposed to come out. And for what we know, nothing has been shot.
Well, maybe they're just not telling us. Maybe they already have it fully casted. Who knows how long that James Brolin had been casted as
Thanos.
Cable before they told us. Just because we don't know doesn't mean that it's not happening. I mean, I'm not saying that this is going to be ready in April. I have no idea. I have no idea. Sure, they might have to push it back. I don't know. But just because they're not telling us doesn't mean it's not happening. Hollywood does a lot of stuff they don't tell us about.
It's true, but in this internet age, it's so hard to keep secrets like this. Even rumors, Even rumors, they come out and they usually become true. It's just so hard to keep something like, a film production, You have to shoot it somewhere, whether it be a town or a studio lot. Somebody's going to tweet out that, hey, they're starting to film this movie.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's not the case. I'm just saying it could happen.
Okay. All right. Well,
maybe it's not a very big budget film.
All right. We'll definitely keep an eye on this, and of course, when the film starts rolling, you will definitely hear from us, and we'll have more to comment on the matter. So, moving on in more Marvel news. Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige recently talked to Hollywood Reporter in regards to that Marvel Studios has no plans, as of right now, to make an R-rated Marvel Cinematic Universe film. Now, he cited recent Fox films such as Logan and Deadpool, saying that those R-rated films aren't really what made them successful. He said,
R rating.
Yes, exactly. He said, quote, "My takeaway from both those films are not the R rating. It's the risks they took, the chances they took, the creative boundaries that they pushed. That should be the takeaway for everyone." He cited that it was a doorway to creative opportunity that allowed the films to highlight Deadpool's humor as well as the brutal finality of Logan. Now, other studios, such as Warner Brothers, is kind of teetering on the edge of doing superhero/comic book R-rated films. Batman v Superman: The Ultimate Cut had an R rating, and a lot of their animated stuff, the Warner Brothers DC stuff, has been rated R recently, with Batman: The Killing Joke and Justice League Dark being R rated. But Kevin Feige looks like he has no plans right now to make a Marvel Cinematic Universe R-rated film, which I think is fine. We do have in the same universe the Netflix movies, which are kind of teetering on the PG-13 to R rating, and that's fine. If you want your more hardcore, more serious stuff, you can definitely go to Netflix or other stuff as well. And then, for me, the movies have always been their family movies, much like Star Wars or whatever. These are family movies. You can take the whole family. Everybody gets something out of them. So I'm perfectly fine not getting an R rating because, as we've said before, R rating does not mean it's going to be good. It's about staying true to the characters. Logan's brutality, Deadpool's, violence, those are staying true to the characters, not just making an R-rated movie for R-rated sake.
Yeah, you basically just said everything.
There we go. Exactly. All right, so move on from there, guys. Keeping up with it, James Gunn has been officially announced as the director for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. That's right. Gunn made the announcement on his Facebook page saying, quote, "So yes, I'm returning to write and direct Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Before I was able to honestly answer this, I needed to know what was in my heart and that I truly felt called to do it. There is a history of Hollywood of haphazard endings to trilogies, and I didn't want to become part of the dishonorable tradition of pretending the third one doesn't exist. I couldn't do it for the money. I couldn't do it because it was what other people wanted me to do. I needed to do it because it is what I needed to do. I have never made choices in my career based on anything other than passion and love for the stories and characters, and I didn't want to start now." Now, it's also, of course, said that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will take place after Avengers Infinity War, in which, quote, much of what's happened in the MCU for the past 10 years or so has been leading in a big way to Avengers Infinity War. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will happen after all that. It will conclude the story of this iteration of the Guardians of the Galaxy and will help catapult both old and new Marvel characters into the next 10 years and beyond. This, of course, is coming right before the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 comes out on May 5th. That's right, 10 days away. We got James Gunn returning to finish off the trilogy, so to speak. I guess it's a little early. Go ahead.
You haven't let me talk back at all.
Well, I was going to talk first.
You always do that, though, and there's nothing else for me to say.
Go for it then, Lisa.
No, fine, go. Just talk.
All right, fine.
If you don't want me to talk,
trust me, there's much later on I know you're going to have a lot to say about. But just starting off, early reviews for Volume 2 of Guardians of the Galaxy, they've said not as good as the first one, but still entertaining, which is fine. And I like that he cited that, yeah, there is a long history of the third movie kind of falling apart. Just off the top of my head that I listed were X-Men The Last Stand, Spider-Man 3, Iron Man 3, Alien 3, Terminator 3, all these three films that, had two really good films ahead of it and then kind of fell apart after that. I like that he cited that and that he really wants to give it a go. Honestly, I gotta wait till I see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and of course, the Guardians will be in Avengers, and we'll see how it goes, but so far, I trust what Marvel's doing. I trust what James Gunn is doing. We'll see how Volume 2 goes. But from then on, as of right now, I guess I'm excited about this. I'll have to wait and see what they do with Volume 2 to get too excited for Volume 3.
I mean, I think it's good that he's coming back. We haven't seen the movie yet, so I know, like you just said, the early reviews haven't been awesome, but they still said that it's fun. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, I think it's probably better for some... I don't know. I mean, it depends. Some people... I know you just basically said everything, so I don't have anything to add.
Okay. All right. So, moving on two more pieces of Marvel news to move on. Marvel Studios has announced that they found their Captain Marvel directors. The directing pair of Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck have been signed on to direct the film that comes out March 8, 2019. The duo is best known for helming the film Mississippi Grind, starring Ryan Reynolds and Ben Mendelsohn. They also directed the film It's Kind of a Funny Story, starring Emma Roberts and Zach Galifianakis. Now, it's said these two were chosen because each of their films exhibit nuanced, fascinating performances and a deeply felt sense of character, all which will fuel the pair's passion around telling Carol Danvers' story. In the Marvel Comics continuity, Carol Danvers first appeared in Marvel Superheroes number 13 as a security chief in the U.S. Air Force. Danvers was then later transformed into a superhero following an explosion involving Kree technology. And like I said, the film is set to come out March 8th, 2019, starring Brie Larson. I know you haven't seen either of these two movies.
No.
I saw It's Kind of a Funny Story, so I really don't have a good grasp on either of these two directors. So what I really want to talk about is the fact that, again, Marvel's going with directing duos, much like they did. Joe and Anthony Russo started off with Winter Soldier, and then they felt it was so successful, they did Civil War, and now they're letting them handle Avengers, the third Avengers film and the fourth Avengers film. Do you think that their success with the Russos, they find it, a much more open to doing directing duos? Because that's not really common in Hollywood.
It's not uncommon. There's a lot of sibling. There's a lot of sibling duos.
Yes, but these aren't even siblings, though.
I know. That's what I think is different about this. I mean, so far, most of the directing duos that you see are siblings.
Uh-huh.
This isn't. So, I mean, they must have a reason. I don't think the fact that the duo has anything to do with the Russos doing well. They must have just felt like these... I don't know.
Yeah, I think that, of course, these two have directed, other films together, so they have good chemistry, which is great. It's just a matter of, like I said... Usually you don't see... 90% of the time you're going to have a film that has one director, one captain, one vision. It's hard enough getting a film where the studio and the director see eye to eye. We see here, quite a few horror stories where that kind of relationship breaks down. But then you have two directors, which I can see being a good thing, where it takes, the load off the one person and all the pressure it puts on them. But again, you're getting two different people who... no matter what you think, they're going to have different reactions, which can be a good thing and a bad thing. It's just the singular vision of the movie can, I think, sometimes be sacrificed because of too many cooks in the kitchen. Adding another director can be good. There are pros and cons to it. I guess we'll just have to wait and see how it goes with Captain Marvel. But in any event, we do have our directors now for Captain Marvel, so it can't be too far along now that we're going to see filming start on that one. Cool? Mm-hmm. All right, so the last bit of Marvel news going on is going to be that Freeform has released their first trailer for their upcoming Cloak and Dagger series starring Olivia Holt and Aubrey Joseph. Now, this is based on the popular, or not popular, I guess, of the Marvel Comics characters Cloak and Dagger that have appeared in many classic comics such as Spider-Man and X-Men. Now, the synopsis for it is that the live-action interracial romance follows the duo, two teenagers from very different backgrounds who find themselves burdened and awakened to newly acquired superpowers while falling in love. They quickly learn they are better together than apart, but their feelings for each other make their already complicated world even more challenging. Now, the series is going to be the first collaboration between Marvel and the network Freeform, which is formerly known as ABC Family. The next one they're moving on is going to be New Warriors, which is set to be a half-hour comedy series starring the now popular character Squirrel Girl, as well as characters such as Speedball and Mr. Immortal. Both series are set to premiere in 2018 on Freeform. Okay, I'm not familiar. Okay, I know the characters of Cloak and Dagger. I know what they can do. I haven't read a lot of stuff with them, so all I can say is comment on the trailer and to say it looks like an ABC Family series. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I thought it looked good.
It looked very young adult, I think.
It looked like the first one you've shown me in a while on a TV show that I thought looked like something I might want to see. I was intrigued by it. Okay. I'm wondering what happened, what's going on. The trailer doesn't really explain anything, so it makes you want to watch it to figure out what the heck is going on, how they got their powers, what their situations are, what their backgrounds are, what that accident was about. I think the trailer did a good job in making you curious enough to want to tune in, at least to see what it's all about. I mean, I don't really watch much TV, so I doubt that I'll actually watch it.
Nice to get a chance to watch it.
The trailer I thought did a good job in making me want to see what it's about.
Cool. I'm very curious too about if it was going to tie into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think it is because they did show that one shot of the Roxanne Corporation, which has actually been featured in not only the Netflix shows, but also the movies too. So I think it's going to tie into the cinematic universe, but that's not saying anything because, again, the Netflix shows are allegedly supposed to take place in the same universe as the movies, but all they do is maybe briefly reference them, and you never really get to see intermingling and stuff like that. So it's not a big deal. I thought it looked like very young adults. Maybe not up my alley. I don't know if I'm really going to check it out, to be honest. So again, especially since I'm not familiar with the characters as much, but we'll have to wait and see about that one. All right, guys, so we're stepping out of Marvel news and going into DC news. Warner Brothers Animation has released a 9-minute featurette for their next upcoming animated feature, Batman and Harley Quinn. This was included on the Teen Titans Judas Contract DVD and Blu-ray. I've yet to check out Judas Contract. I plan on doing it soon, so stay tuned for that. Now, one thing that people are excited about for this film is that we see the return of director Bruce Timm. Timm, best known for creating the classic cult Batman animated series. He's also bringing back Kevin Conroy to voice Batman and Lauren Lester to voice Nightwing. We see the new edition of Harley Quinn voiced by Melissa Rauch, who people best know from The Big Bang Theory. Now, this isn't very much in the same style of Batman the Animated Series, but Bruce Timm warns that it's kind of a strange redheaded nephew of Batman the Animated Series, but don't show it to your kids thinking that it's going to be Batman the Animated Series. It's its own thing, quite extrapolated. Lisa, you sat down and watched this 9-minute featurette. I know you're not big on the animated stuff, but just give me your overall thoughts on it.
I mean, I thought it looked good. I mean, I think I'm not a big fan of Harley Quinn. I don't really understand people's fascination with her.
I don't get it either. I don't really.
I mean, I think Melissa Rauch was a great casting choice for her voice. I thought that was great. I think she probably is going to totally nail it. Like, do awesome.
When they actually announced that, when they actually said that, I was like, you know what? Now that you think of the voice she does on The Big Bang versus the voice we're used to hearing of Harley Quinn, I'm like, that's very similar. That's kind of right in the same tone.
Yeah. So I mean, I think I think for people who liked the Batman animated series, I think that they'll probably enjoy this very much.
And that's what kind of got me interested because, again, I am a fan of it. The design, the animation style is very much right on with the animated series, even down to the Batmobile. Looks like they got that design right, too. You got Poison Ivy in there, too. It just, again, as a fan of growing up with the animated series, I'm looking forward to it.
The thing that worries me about these animated films that they've been making lately is they are not for kids.
True.
And making it in such a close style to the Batman animated series, I kind of wish they would stop doing that. Because I think people are stupid. And, you know, like, as a rule, people don't pay attention when you say, this is not for kids. People see Batman, they see that it's Batman and Harley Quinn, and then it looks like the Batman animated series, and they're going to show their kids. And the trailer looks like there's a lot of sexual content in this.
Okay, I agree. Okay.
And I just wish that they would stop doing that. Like, you know, because, and I mean, sure, I get it. It's parents' fault. Yeah, parents need to be better parents.
and not take their child to see an R-rated Deadpool
pay
film.
Better attention to the quality of what they're showing their children. I 100%, yes, this is on the parents, not the studios. But to create something that looks so much like the Batman animated series, that it just seems to me like they could have made it stylistically just different enough that people wouldn't be like, oh, it's the Batman animated series. Let's take the kids.
Okay.
You know?
Just bouncing off that real quick, I totally get where you're coming from with that. It's like, oh, Batman. But I think really this movie is targeted more to someone like me who grew up on the Batman animated series. And I get this bit of nostalgia seeing that, again, only more of an adult tone now that I'm an adult.
Right, but most people your age have children. Exactly. And they're going to be like, oh, I can take let me show my kids what I used to
And that's where it goes into, you got to look at the rating.
I know, but people don't. And that's why I kind of just wish they wouldn't do that.
Okay, I totally get your side with it, and my side as well. Just a real quick thing, Bruce Timm did mention something about this is kind of a left turn from what they have been doing. I'm not sure if he's talking about just a different animated style, because it's a very different animated style, but also some story tone, because he said it is kind of like a rock and roll, kind of like a punk tone to it, which is very different from the very serious, heavy tone you've got from, say, The Killing Joke. And
well, he said it was a comedy.
Yeah, exactly. But of course, I'm sure it's going to be like raunchy comedy, of course.
Oh, I'm sure.
Which, of course, and that is it. The last thing I kind of noted is, yeah, you do have, Batman and Nightwing, but of course, there's no Robin and Batgirl featured in there. So I don't think, like he said it's like the redheaded stepchild of Batman in the animated series. So I don't think continuity-wise it's going to be in there. But I'm curious again if we're going to see other characters such as Robin or Batgirl possibly pop up. But in any event. All right, moving on, guys. We were going to talk about the trailer for Sci-Fi's Krypton that was leaked, but when I went to go show Lisa, it appears NBC Universal doesn't want you to see it because all I could find was reaction videos to it. So when they officially announce that or release it, we'll be sure to cover that. I saw it. I thought it looked decent, but we'll have to wait till they officially announce it and Lisa gets a chance to look at it before we comment on that. So we're going to skip over that for now. Going straight into another story in regards to DC, which is that The Hollywood Reporter has reported, that Dolph Lundgren will join the cast of the upcoming Aquaman film. Dolph Lundgren will play King Nereus of the aquatic kingdom of Zebul, who claims Mera as her own and wants to kill Aquaman. Now, Amber Heard is set to play the character of Mera, where she comes from this kind of fraction of Atlantis, where they've been lost or exiled for hundreds of years, and they kind of grow to hate Atlantis. And the character of Mera is said to come from there, and we come to find out through the comics or through the story that she was sent to actually kill Aquaman, but ends up falling in love with him instead. Now, Dolph Lundgren's best known for his work in action 80s films such as Rocky IV, Masters of the Universe, the original Punisher film, that's right, and the Expendables franchise. Most recently, he's popped up as a villain on the CW show Arrow. And little known fact, I didn't know this till I was reading. So Lundgren actually has a degree in chemistry from Washington State University, a degree in chemical engineering from the Royal Institute of Technology, and a master's degree in chemical engineering from the University of Sydney. Interesting.
Wow, he's just gone to school all over the world.
I know, right? That's why he kind of maybe disappeared for a while off acting. Aquaman is expected to shoot this month, directed by James Wan, and it's going to be coming out December 21st, 2018. You want to take lead, or I'm going to take lead on this?
You go right ahead.
All right, so kind of excited about this because Dolph Lundgren, 80s, growing up in the 80s, he was a big action guy, so I recognize him from that. But also, the brief stuff he's done on Arrow this past season makes me think he's up for the task. Dolph Lundgren, kind of like Arnold, I guess. He's known more for his physique than he is his acting chops. But I think it's as long as it's a role that's fit more for him, kind of like how James Gunn and the people at Marvel Studios made the character of Drax, fit around Dave Bautista's strengths. If they do that again for Dolph Lundgren, I think the character will work out pretty well. Aquaman is kind of odd man out, I guess, in regards to the Warner Brothers films right now, because it's the only one that's kind of chugging along, actually getting through like the start and actually going into production. All the other films, as far as the DC properties, they're all getting halted and canceled and changes and stuff like that. But Aquaman,
can't hold on to their director.
Exactly. So Aquaman is the one that's kind of still going along. I think it's gonna be like the little engine that could, and we'll just hopefully pray that it all turns out good.
And that it's good.
Exactly. All right. So that's gonna be it as far as DC news. Now we're gonna talk about a little franchise called Star Wars. All right, guys. We covered quite a bit last week on our Celebration special recap. So there's not a lot of new stuff to talk about, but there is a few things that we can just kind of briefly go through. Maybe not much to say on it, but there was a lot of rumors and stuff coming out, about things in regards to the franchise and how things are going to be handled, especially with Carrie Fisher. But Kathleen Kennedy went on Good Morning America, the Lucasfilm president, and she kind of cleared up a few things in regards to rumors. First off, she cleared up about something that Bob Iger had said in regards to the Han Solo film and how Han Solo might not possibly be his real name. And she kind of was like, no, Han Solo is his real name. Don't, flip out. Someone on here
freaked out last week about it. I wonder who that is.
That's why I was saying it. I wanted to get it out there, of course. So she kind of smoothed that over. And another thing she talked about is Carrie Fisher and her using her likeness in regards to Episode 9. So I guess Carrie's brother Todd came out a while ago and talked about how, they gave permission for them to use either, a CGI version of Carrie or even a, unused footage of Carrie for Episode 9. But Kathleen Kennedy went and spoke and said that they have no plans to put any version of Carrie Fisher in Episode 9, saying, quote, "We finished everything in Episode 8, and Carrie was absolutely phenomenal in the movie, and we're so happy that we were able to complete filming in the summer. Unfortunately, Carrie passed away at a time when we were all underway with Episode 9 in our thoughts. We had not written a script yet, but we've regrouped. We started over in January. Sadly, Carrie will not be in Episode 9. So they're kind of let you know that Princess Leia's story will kind of conclude in Episode 8. Still have no idea how they're going to do that, what part she's going to take, but again, just kind of clearing up some rumors in that regard. Anything to comment as far as Kennedy's comments?
No, I mean, not really. I think it's good to know that they're not going to try to make her be in that movie in a weird
CGI fashion and stuff like that.
I think it'd be better just for them to have I just hope the way that they ended her in Episode 8 is appropriate.
That's what I'm saying. I'm very curious what they did, because I feel like they had to. Of course, we still have no idea. We have no idea if they killed their character off in Episode 8 or they had to retweak it or whatever. I just hope it's a good send off. Mm-hmm. Is all I want. I want a fitting send off for her. That's all I'm asking for. But I'm sure the people at Lucasfilm,
they're gonna do it justice.
Yeah, they'll do a good job. Everyone had so much love for her, not only in the fan community but also personally knowing her at Lucasfilm. I'm sure they're gonna do do a fine job, honoring her memory.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to bungle this.
No.
It's going to be fine.
Exactly. All right, well, that's it as far as Star Wars news, guys. So we're going to move on to another franchise that's not as popular as Star Wars, but, some people here might like it. It's called Harry Potter. I mean, I don't know. I've never heard of it. But in any regards, again, news broke while we were on vacation, so we got to cover a little of this. So it was announced a couple days ago that the actor known as Callum Turner, who in films such as Green Room, Victor Frankenstein, and Assassin's Creed, has signed on to play the brother of Eddie Redmayne's character Newt Scamander. And last week, or 2 weeks I guess it was announced, a big reveal was that actor Jude Law has come aboard to play a young Albus Dumbledore in the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them sequel. While no details have been given about either character yet, they will join the cast that includes Johnny Depp as the Dark Wizard Grindelwald. What's his first name?
Gellert
Grindelwald.
Grindelwald.
Okay, and of course Eddie Redmayne's going to return as Newt Scamander. This is all according to Variety, guys. Okay, so filming is set to take place in both London and Paris, with director David Yates returning and confirming that story will be set mainly in Paris. While no plot details have been officially released yet, it has been recently revealed that the franchise will expand from what was said to be 2 movies to 5, all being written by none other than J.K. Rowling herself. She said, quote, "There will be a lot of unpacking in the relationship that forms between Dumbledore and Grindelwald in these 5 movies, though no specific plot details have been given about this relationship. Filming for the sequel to Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them is set to begin this summer, and it's going to be released November 6, 2018. So, this Callum guy, I'm not familiar with him. I'm sure you're not familiar with either.
No, but I'm super excited.
So let's talk about Jude Law. Yes, Jude Law.
Yes.
Again, that was kind of the big thing when they were talking at the end of Fantastic Beasts. It was, okay, who's going to be Dumbledore? Who's going to be young Dumbledore? And, do you think should they have gone with an unknown, or do you think they needed that little bit of star power?
No, I think he's great. I as soon as I saw this, I was like, I think that works. I can totally see him as a young Dumbledore. I am 100% on board.
Okay, say. I know one thing we talked about here in regards to casting Dumbledore is the sequels as they had are going to focus a lot on Dumbledore and Grindelwald, so really it has to be about the chemistry between them. Mm-hmm. We got Johnny Depp and Jude Law, both, good actors, so I feel like they had to have tested that chemistry before they committed to Jude Law in that regard. So I hope that as long as they have good chemistry, I think it's really going to pop. Now, also, it's said that they don't know if any of the other former actors from the first Fantastic Beasts are going to be returning for the sequel. The only person we got is Newt Scamander, and it looks like he's going to be taking a back seat, really, to Dumbledore and Grindelwald as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect many of the other people to be in it because it's not going to be in the U.S. this time.
Yeah, it said it's going to be in Paris.
Yeah, so I think we're going to get a bunch of new. That's what I love about these movies. Like, it's not going to be like in the Harry Potter books or the Harry Potter films where you had this.
It's all about Harry.
Specific group. It's all about Harry and the same group of people who surround Harry because Harry's in the same place for all 7 films. Mm-hmm. Like, I think what's cool about these is it's really expanding this universe. That's the thing about Harry Potter. Like, we don't just love Harry Potter because we love Harry Potter himself. Sure, I like Harry, but he's not my favorite character.
He's not one of my favorite characters by far.
Exactly, and I think that's how most people are. We like Harry. Like, I'm glad that the story revolved around Harry, but the best part of the Harry Potter books and films is all the people around Harry and all the bits and pieces that you learn about the magical world. And I think that having these Fantastic Beasts films that are going out and showing you wizards in all different parts of the world.
That's what I like.
Like, that's what I liked about the Fantastic Beasts film. I didn't love the Fantastic Beasts film. I liked it, but to me, it felt like 2 separate stories squashed together, which I've said before. Like, all the Fantastic Beast portion of it was freaking cool. I loved seeing all those animals and creatures that you've read about in the books, but it felt kind of forced. Like that was being pushed on the actual plot of the movie, which was Grindelwald.
Just to give it a title almost.
Right, just exactly. Like, kind of throwing Newt in a situation he didn't really need to be in so that we could see all these creatures, push him into a story. Like, I think it would have been totally fine if it wasn't Newt, and it was just a Harry Potter, like a
Wizarding World.
The Wizarding World story that took place in the U.S. with a whole new group of people. Where at the end you had the Grindelwald reveal. Like, I think that would have been fine. I didn't need all the creatures. You know, I mean, it was fine. Like, I don't hate it. Like I said, I liked it. I bought it. I'll watch it, I'm sure, many times.
Mm-hmm.
But what I like about it was that we learned about a new place. We learned about the U.S. and the, magical community in the U.S. and the way the Magical Congress of the U.S., the way that the U.S. is run, the way that the U.S. felt. It was a different time period. It was a different country. And so now, this next one is going to go into France. So we're going to learn, the only characters that are relevant right now are Grindelwald and Albus, so taking him into France, you don't need all the other characters. Like, I mean, obviously, Scamander's going to be in it, his brother. If they're going to pull his brother in, surely he's going to be a part of it too. And that's fine. But I think the characters that we met in the first film that were in the U.S., like, they can just stay. I mean, I hope to see them again because I really liked...
Dan Fogler's character was good.
Yeah, I really liked him and that sister that he kind of hooked up with. Like, I liked them a lot. I'd like to see them again. But I think for this film, if the purpose of it is to build that Albus Galette relationship and it takes place in France, then I expect we're going to meet a bunch of new people.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's cool. Like, I'm excited about that. It's going to be a whole new bit to throw in. Maybe they'll go to Beauxbatons. That's in France.
Oh, okay. What was I going to say? Oh, so like this, it's a Fantastic Beasts sequel, but I don't think it's going to be called Fantastic Beasts. Like, because now you have the subtitle, was it like JK's, like, the Wizarding World?
I don't know.
Or whatever. I think, like, and if you look at the Fantastic Beasts, like, true, like, in the trailer, it says, like, at the top, like, the Wizarding World or something like that as a header, and then Fantastic Beasts and where to find them. So I feel like every movie now is going to have that Wizarding World, subtext. Much like, you have Star Wars Rogue One or Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back.
Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, this is going to be, you mean, like, something else, a Harry Potter,
or a Wizarding
World
yeah,
adventure,
something like that.
Or something
I feel
like
like
that.
that's kind of the route they're going to go with it, and that. But which is fine. In any event, it's shaping up. It's getting there. And, of course, with J.K. Rowling helming it or writing it, I think it's going in the good direction. So, anything else you want to comment on that?
No, I mean, I love that J.K. is writing them.
Okay.
I love her. Every time she posts something on Twitter, it makes me love her even more.
Fair enough. All right, guys. So, stepping out of the Wizarding World news and going into miscellaneous, there's a couple things here I just want to run through real quick. I don't have a lot to say. I know Lisa probably doesn't have a lot to say, but I just want to run through them real quick just to get it out of the way, just to say we covered it. Cartoon Network is set to make a Mega Man animated series based off Capcom's popular video game franchise. They've been working on this for a little while now. Looks like it's finally getting into production. I enjoyed the Mega Man video games. I thought there's a lot of mythology there they can play with. Be really cool. Did you ever play Mega Man?
No.
No? Okay, well, it's pretty cool. It's pretty awesome. I'm not sure the direction they're going with this because they're going to give Mega Man an alter ego. Quote, a normal, upbeat schoolboy robot who has nanocore technology that allows him to transform into the mega-powered superhero Mega Man. Sounds kind of lame to me, but I wish they'd rather go the other way. There was an old 90s cartoon, which I can still remember the theme song from. It goes like, the mighty robot, Mega Man. I'd rather do that, but this is where they're going with it. We'll see how it goes, etc. All right, moving on. The Hollywood Reporter is saying that the filmmaking team of Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, who gave us such films as This Is the End and The Interview, are teaming up to do an adaptation of Robert Kirkman's Invincible for Universal Pictures. The duo is set to write, direct, and produce this film. If Robert Kirkman sounds familiar, he's the same guy who wrote The Walking Dead comic book. When asked, Kirkman said, quote, the answer was always that we were waiting for the right team to partner with. The team has arrived. The esteemed Misters Goldberg and Rogen have proven themselves to be top-notch directors with a keen collective eye for stunning visuals after slumming it by writing hit after juggernaut hit. For those of you not familiar with the comic book, in the series, Mark Grayson was a normal high school senior with a normal part-time job and otherwise normal life, except his father, Nolan, is the superhero Omni-Man, the most powerful superhero on the planet. At the age of 17, Mark begins to display his own superpowers, which come from his father being a member of the alien race Viltrumite. I know I said that wrong, but in any event there. So that's kind of the core of it, but I've read a little bit of this comic book, and to me, the most fascinating is the part they didn't say in the plot, which is it turns out after Mark gets his powers, is kind of a newbie superhero, his father kind of unveils his real goal, which is that he's the first part of an alien takeover of Earth, and then he has to go and fight his father. So the way I'm going to picture this to you is imagine we get a Sky High sequel, and we find that the commander is
actually a bad guy.
And then Will Stronghold has to face off against his dad.
I'd see that movie.
Exactly, and that's kind of the same thing going along that instance. I remember it's really cool. There's a scene in the comic book where he first faces off against his dad, and his dad just literally beats the living crap out of him, and just that conflict and stuff like that. It's good storytelling. I haven't read a lot of it. I've read some of it. I know the main core of it, and that gets me excited, especially to see.
Yeah, but having the people, Rogan and I'm curious what direction they're going with this, because their movies tend to be like
funny.
Yeah, like not just funny,
Raunchy.
but like raunchy, funny, kind of playing on things, like making fun of other things. Like this doesn't sound like the premise of this doesn't sound like that matches.
Okay.
So I'm curious what are they gonna make this more like a This Is the End type superhero film?
Well, I will say this: the character of Invincible, he's a young hero. He's got kind of that Spider-Man attitude with the quips and the jokiness. So it's probably you're gonna see Rogan and Goldberg kind of throw in their own style to it. But it is going to be interesting to see how they tackle the superhero genre as well.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they can do with it.
I think we're going to get a lot of parodies and poking fun at the genre itself.
Yeah, I'm sure. I think it sounds interesting.
Cool. All right, so moving on, Fox is excited to announce that they are giving us another X-Files mini-series.
Blah, blah, blah.
The all-new 10-episode installment will once again be produced by the X-Files creator Chris Carter and star David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson as FBI agents Fox Mulder and Dana Scully, who investigates cases that are only answers involve paranormal phenomenon. Last year, the X-Files returned and averaged nearly 16 million viewers and was last season's #2 broadcast drama. The original X-Files series premiered in 1993, ran for 9 seasons, was a cult hit, and won 16 Emmy Awards, 5 Golden Globes, and a Peabody Award. I can never get an X-Files.
I never could either.
I tried to watch the miniseries they had last season. I've seen the movies. I think it works better as a movie franchise, I think. I think drawing these out into 9 seasons, maybe that's the problem between it. I think if you just kept them as a TV franchise, movie franchise, I'd be more interested in it, to be honest. So I can never get into it. I'm not excited for it. I tried, even in my later years, to get excited, and I just can't do it.
Yeah, I have no interest in.
Cool.
I've tried to watch them too, and I just can't.
All right. So moving on to the next, Star Trek fans must be pretty excited with the current resurgence of the franchise the last couple of years. Plus, we're getting a new Star Trek series coming out soon, Star Trek Discovery, and the prospect that a 4th Star Trek film is on its way. Now, Zachary Quinter, who plays Spock in the new movies, spoke with the Today Show about the possibility that maybe people might not be excited for Star Trek 4 as you think, saying, quote, "I know that they're working on a script for another one, and we'll see how that all plays out. The nice thing about the experience is that the time in between those tentpole films allows the rest of us to go off and cultivate a lot of different creative experiences for ourselves. I'm hopeful we'll do another one, but there's no guarantee." Now, he says this because Star Trek Beyond, while it was embraced by fans and critics, holding an 84% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes, didn't actually gross that much money. It made $343 million worldwide, but it also had an $185 million budget plus marketing, so if it did turn a profit, it was very minimal, which is why kind of Star Trek 4 isn't a sure thing. Now, when Star Trek Beyond came out, there was already story points for Star Trek 4 saying that Chris Hemsworth was said to return as George Kirk, James T. Kirk's father. Simon Pegg, who co-wrote the script for Star Trek Beyond, also teased on Twitter late last year that he was already working on this script on Star Trek 4 with Doug Young. Justin Lin is set to direct a return, and J.J. Abrams is set to return to produce 2. Now, I have no doubt they're going to make another Star Trek movie eventually. Honestly, I know you liked Star Trek Beyond more than I did. out of the 3 latest Star Trek films, it was my least favorite.
Oh, it's my least favorite. I like the first one best. I liked it better than the one before it, though.
Into Darkness?
Yeah, I liked it better than that one.
See, I like it. A lot of more Star Trek fans felt it was more in the essence of old school Star Trek, which is why I think it was more embraced by the fans than, say, the previous 2 films. But, again, Star Trek is one of those franchises. It's never going to die. It might be a while maybe before we get it, but it's gonna come. Whether it's next year or the year after, I think we're gonna get it, and I hope they continue it because with this as well, I've actually been reading more of the Star Trek comics with this new iteration, and I've enjoyed the comics actually that IDW has been publishing, and it's getting me more into the movies, more into the characters too. So that'll be good to go. All right, last story of the day, guys. So within the last probably week or so, Sony Pictures has been teasing that they're coming out with a trailer for Kingsman: The Golden Circle, giving us like 30-second snippets. The tease of the tease trailer, which I hate. I hate those. And after making us wait all day yesterday, about 10:30 or so last night, Central Time, they released the new trailer, or the first teaser trailer for Kingsman: The Golden Circle. So in this one, we see the return of Taron Egerton, Mark Strong, and Sophie Cookson as Eggsy, Merlin, and Roxy as they face new challenges. When their headquarters are destroyed and the world is held hostage, their journey leads them to the discovery of an allied spy organization in the U.S. called the Statesman, dating back to the day when they were both funded. In a new adventure that tests their agents' strengths and wits to the limits, these 2 elite secret organizations band together to defeat a ruthless common enemy in order to save the world. Now, Kingsman: The Secret Service was written by Mark Millar and Dave Gibbons and saw director Matthew Vaughn at the helm. Vaughn is coming back for this sequel as well, and we're going to see some new additions such as Julianne Moore, Halle Berry, Elton John, Channing Tatum, Jeff Bridges, and the return of Colin Firth. So, Lisa, you just saw the trailer. What do you think?
I don't know. The trailer was like, I don't know. It was too much going on.
Okay.
I wasn't a fan of the trailer. I mean, I think I'm going to end up liking this movie. I had no doubt. But I wasn't a fan of the trailer. I felt like it was just, there was too much going on. There was too many, they tried to mush too much stuff together. Like, you couldn't even see most of the characters they showed. It was such like a blur on the screen. Like, you didn't even get a chance to, like, I couldn't even tell it was Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
It's
I knew he was in the film. I knew the kind of character he was playing, so I recognized him.
They showed Jeff Bridges just long enough to tell that it was Jeff Bridges. But the Channing Tatum character, like, once I watched it the second time and I knew he was in it, then I was like, oh, okay, that's who that is. But I just felt like they jammed too much over with too loud of music, and it was just, I mean, I like the Frank Sinatra song playing over it, but
I can't get it out of my head, honestly.
yeah, I mean, I just felt like the trailer was too busy. It was just, I think they just tried to jam too much in. I mean, sure, it's a teaser, and I'm sure the next trailer will be different, but I wasn't a fan of the trailer.
Okay. I loved it, honestly. So, when we first saw Kingsman in theater, I was like, oh, pretty entertaining, I like it. And then we bought it on Blu-ray and never watched it. Until a couple weeks ago, I watched it again. In the second viewing, I liked it even more, and I thought, wow, I'm excited for the sequel now. So, watching this, it's style-wise very similar to what we got in the first one. I know Matthew Vaughn, who is, one of my favorite directors now, he's back, so we know it's going to be in good hands in that regard. Again, just kind of like you were talking about earlier about expanding the world, we're going to go over and see the Statesman's, which is their version of Kingsman. And I loved it how you see they're American and they're all dressed like cowboys. Like Channing Tatum is like the agent, he's dressed like a cowboy. Jeff Bridges dressed like a cowboy, which is nothing different for Jeff Bridges. That seems to be all he plays lately. But I loved it. I mean, starting with the Frank Sinatra song, honestly, first thing I love about it is the fact that it's not freaking a classic rock song like we've been getting in all these other trailers. They go old school with the Frank Sinatra, which I loved as well. And I love, again, talking about the Statesman, they're playing into that American cliche where, the British secret organization, they're all like James Bond, suit-wearing tux guys, and the Americans are all cowboys.
See, here's the thing, though. That trailer, I had no idea that's what that was.
What?
The Statesman.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know that was an American. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
The trailer
I got you.
It was just a confusing mass of things. I haven't read the synopsis of the film, so I thought they were bad guys. I had no idea what that was.
Okay.
I saw the word statesman come up a couple times, flashing on the screen. I didn't know what it was.
Okay.
I didn't know why they were cowboys there. I thought they were bad guys.
It is a tease, so I'll give you that.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm just saying this because I know
right.
the plot
So I'm
and stuff
saying
like that.
if you think about the vast majority of people who don't know what the plot of the film is, this is very confusing.
But, okay, I'll give you that. I'll definitely give you that. But let's assume, of course, people that did see Kingsman and then they saw this, I think they know what they were getting and it got them at least a little excited. Even they're not sure what they were getting.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I am a little excited. I just think that this trailer was not very good for the vast majority of people.
Okay.
Most
Fair
people
enough.
aren't going to have any idea, like I did, what the hell that was.
Yeah. And the one thing I noticed, too, is, of course, again, it is a tease, so this is just, just really, the movie doesn't come out till September 22nd. But they showed, the Kingsman headquarters getting blown up. They showed the tailor shop getting blown up. But they didn't really give us, okay, this is the villain. Again, we don't.
Well, and like with Halle Berry, Julianne Moore, they just like showed
flashed them. Like, hey, here's our stars.
Yeah, like there's no reference to like who they are in the film, what they're doing in the film, if they're going to be in it for more than a minute.
I think it's just a tease. So it's like, hey, you see Kingsman? Well, guess what? This one's got Halle Berry and Julianne Moore. And yeah, you don't know who they are, but they're stars. So be like, it's like if I saw, if they put, any movie that, say they had a sequel to, God, I don't know, Ninja Turtles. And then they said, oh, Ninja Turtles, that's pretty cool. I like that. And then they're like, Leonardo DiCaprio's in it. I'm like, oh, yeah. I don't care what it is. It's Leonardo DiCaprio in a franchise that I like. So I get excited. But yeah, they didn't really show a clear-cut villain. One thing I guess I am more excited about since the last time I saw the first Kingsman, Taron Egerton. Because he, he's been doing stuff, and especially you saw Eddie the Eagle while we were on vacation too. I love that movie.
I'd kind of like to see it again because I just kind of came in after it was started and we were so tired, but I really enjoyed it. He was really good.
With that,
well, you heard I said after I watched it, I was like, I can't believe he didn't get like a nomination for something. Yeah. He was amazing.
He was great in that film, and again, that showed his acting chops. So now I'm more excited to see what he does in this film. He's also got that Robin Hood movie coming up as well, so I'm excited to see his career progress now that I know he's got some good chops on him as far as acting wise. Just a few things I really loved. Again, going back to the Statesmen, how they're dressed. Where Channing Tatum's got that flask as a belt buckle, which I want, by the way. And they're using shotguns and bullwhips and just make it all cowboys, really stereotypical. I feel like they're gonna play into like really make this Statesman group really like stereotypical Americans. And
they've already done that with the Kingsman. Yeah. It's all like about being like a proper
Englishman, exactly. So they're going to play to those stereotypes, which I think is great. This is written by Mark Millar again, but as where Kingsman was already a comic book, there is no Kingsman sequel comic book. This is all original from Mark Millar and Sony. And that's one thing I found interesting is Mark Millar, great writer, I love his stuff. He also wrote the Kick-Ass books. And like say that he wrote the first Kick-Ass one and they picked it up and they made a movie. And while they were still publishing Kick-Ass 2, they were making the movie for it. So before they even finished making the comics, they were almost done making the movie too, which is interesting. Mark Millar has got a lot of good ideas. I hope some of his other stuff like Superior and NPH comes out too. That'd be great movies to tell. But in any event, it's a teaser. It gives us a lot of action. They have the robot. I like the robot arm for the guy. Looks like that's going to be our main like bad guy as far as henchman. Because in the first one we got what's her name with the blades for legs. I think it's going to be kind of the same thing where this guy's got a robot arm, so he's going to be the one to try to take down in this film. But I enjoyed it. Again, like watching the first Kingsman again a few weeks ago, I enjoyed it even more. I'm excited to see what Matthew Vaughn and the rest of them have in store for us. So, all right, guys. Well, that's going to be it for us this week. I know we covered a lot of stuff, so just let us know what you think. What do you think about the X-Men movies? What do you think about the Kingsman teaser? Let us know. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, James Gunn coming up. What do you think about it all? Hit us up, dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com. The Facebook group, Twitter, let us know. And that's going to be it for today. Anything else you want to add before we say bye-bye, Lisa?
Nope, not. Well, I mean, next week we'll be able to talk about Thrawn. the book.
Yes.
Just
FYI,
Sean's done, but I'm not
I
yet.
finished the audiobook, and then Lisa, did you start it?
No, I just finished yesterday the one for my book club, which I had to get done because my book club is next week.
Okay.
So now I'm going to start throwing tomorrow morning.
I will say this, not to spoil anything, of course, but if you are a fan of Rebels, I highly recommend, if you like Star Wars Rebels, I highly recommend picking up Thrawn. And, if definitely, of course, if you're a fan of the character, pick it up too.
Yeah, we'll talk about it next week.
We will talk more about it next week, guys. So you better be sure to read it because we like to talk spoilers on this show. So pick it up and read it, or listen to the audiobook as we did, and we'll go from there. So that's it, guys. Until next time, may the Force be with us all.